because the last time I was on my phone, I finally captured someone. The lives that I've been doing on my computer, I've just been diving, into nothing. And so, and the same reason why I returned to shorts like I did originally, to spike my algorithm and be given a new feature. It worked. After making shorts almost every single day, the best I possibly could, and I even found Giphies. I came upon one that hit 1,000 views, I think, within like 2 days. And then after about probably 3 weeks at least of me making those 1 minute shorts almost every day, I got granted community posts. Well, now, a year and a half or so later, it's been changed from community posted posts. And I was wondering, where's community posts? What's going on here? Welcome if you're new here. I am Sabrina the Mystic, and I am the owner of this channel, Casting Cauldron. I've been on here for 7 years. All right, so, I was slow to the game and thought long form videos were still a thing, but TikTok had entered, and so, people were just consuming bites of data very quickly and not absorbing anything. So, a lot of people are just looking for entertainment. They're doom scrolling. I'm here for those that are serious, for actually exploring what is beyond the naked eye, aspects of ourself, and ways that we have developed knowledge of who we are through challenges. Where do we go from there? Because that's when we really open up. So I am a mystic, and I've recently discovered that through Chat GPT. I did take a quiz, but I wasn't quite sure what does that mean. We can have many layers to ourself. So in this avatar that I've chosen to navigate through this world, I work as a medium, a shamanic witch on the Celtic path, in the Druidic tradition. So now you'll begin to understand why I have a connection to the fairy realm. So I'm here today, and I made a post. All right, back to that. I've been making posts. I'm like, okay, I don't know where community posts went, but I'm making posts. So if you are a subscriber and you hit all for notifications, I believe you will see in a news feed that comes up when I make a post. And throughout the summer, I've been making them, excuse me, I have been making them every day. I've skipped a few days lately, as summer for me is ending, and I'll get to that. So then I saw something that said, oh, you now have access to community. Okay, what? Where's community posts? Now it's just posts, because they now have what's called community. So if you're interested in getting to know me and you decide to binge watch my videos, some of them I am in the process of deleting. I do that every year. What does it mean to have a spiritual practice every day to get in touch with ourself and our connection to the all? There's many other ways, and I have explored a lot of ways because I am a mystic. So after a few days of seeing it and not getting any information from YouTube videos, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, that's clear as mud. Let me just try to figure it out myself. I hit the community. And it says this is a place for people to start discussions, I guess, like a Discord, and become a start discussions amongst one another about my videos. And at first I thought, ooh. But that's what I've always really wanted, and it's the reason why I've gotten back onto lives. I want to engage with people, and I want people to have a bulletin board where they can comment and ask questions and, you know, agree to disagree and just share their thoughts and their experiences if they're willing and they're able. A lot of people are not quite willing and able yet because they're just venturing out. And I get it. That's how I started many years ago. Now I don't know if anybody's here yet. Let me see if I can go to the chat feature. Chat. Community moderation. Top messages. All messages. Okay, I guess it'll pop up underneath here, right? I don't do this every day. I believe I missed last Sunday. I am almost fully recovered from falling at the roller rink, and my entire body weight was braced by my arm. So thank goodness I was going to Planet Fitness for a while. But yeah, I get bursts of creativity. I love what I'm doing, guys. I spent the entire summer just coming up with ideas for anointing oils. And I've made shorts, primarily shorts, because people aren't really that interested in long form videos. Some of the shorts I've made, I can actually now embed a related long form video, which is great. That's a new feature that YouTube has made. Now for community, we're all just going to have to figure it out together, okay? So if you see something come up with start a discussion, that's what that is. I think it's a cross between joining as a member or memberships, if they even have that anymore, and having a Discord on your Patreon. I think YouTube is trying different things, right? When they're not quite sure why views are going down, or, you know, people are frustrated. I know people have been frustrated with memberships, you know, that joining feature with memberships. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. I guess you can touch the learn more. I'm always wanting to have hearts. I want to see hearts coming up. Sometimes some of my regular viewers are busy or they're eating dinner at this time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And sometimes they come on and they watch while they're eating dinner, and then they come back and they talk. So I have moved from Etsy. That shop is going to be completely erased, I hope. I had temporarily closed it. I tried to reopen it, but they would not let me reuse or change my bank. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. There is no customer service. You can't chat. Well, you can, but you have to kind of figure out how. ChatGPT had to actually help me figure out how. I think I've got a glare that I don't like. God, it makes my eyes blurry. All right, so I'm a little bit brighter, but I'm not as blurry. Hi, somebody's here. Hello, thank you so much for coming. So I made a post I was just talking about. I have a new feature called Community. Now they're gone. Okay, that's the person who comes and goes every time I'm on a live. Okay, so yeah, I made a post yesterday announcing that I was going to be talking about fairies in the fairy realm. Now, as a mystic who has been contacted by and even sought out other dimensions, other realms, because I have one foot on the other side, right? Part of my job is to let you know the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that the realm of fairies is real. Okay? Fairies are real. Now, sometimes you only get a glimpse of them. Perhaps they look transparent. Maybe you have a dream. But I actually encountered a real live fairy. So I'm 11 minutes in and nobody's here yet. Sorry. I wanted to update you on things, all right? So I'm not on Etsy. I'm on Ko-Fi. And every short I have has the link. I've got 9 oils. I'm even making waters. I charged water on the dark moon that will be bottled. I've just made 24 karat gold anointing oil. Very important. You can even anoint yourself like I have done tonight with an oil, which is part of your spiritual hygiene, by the way, which I'm getting back into every single day. And I have a mist, which I will show you and talk to you about in a few minutes. And I also have a black moon oil. So I was really into working with the black moon during the week of the black moon. And those meditations have led me into the new moon realization that I really need to start offering my Akashic Tarot reading, Akashic Record Tarot readings to the public. I use a candle when I'm doing it anyway. So if I allow that candle to continue to burn and there's any wax images left over, then that will be an additional piece of information that will help. And I've made a lot of shorts on candle wax images that are left behind. This is how spirit communicates with me. Otherwise, I get insight into what's going on in someone's life through my dreams while I'm sleeping. Now, this is not a $40 or a $60 type of service that I am offering right now, guys, because honestly, you shouldn't be going to a tarot reader often just to see, is so-and-so going to break up with so-and-so, right, and come to me? Or when am I going to meet the right person? Or am I going to get this job? When am I ever going to get out of poverty? Now, that's a pretty good question, because there could be some things that I see in a dream that we need to work on. So it's a collaboration is what is really going to happen, all right? So if you're looking for quick answers, this is not what I am going to be offering. Another reason is there's a two-part to this. My dream space is taken up. My dream time is taken up. For that reason, I can only work with probably 1, maybe 2 people during a 7-day period. If you decide that you want to purchase a reading that's going to have a follow-up within the next couple of weeks, because what you're doing is very, very important, and you're willing to work with me, whether it's to light a candle and do what I recommend that you do, or lay down and meditate so that I can connect to you after you've given me permission. So I should have that up on my page this evening. I've been working on a couple of other things here that I've left by the wayside, my mundane life. Cleaning, just dealing with a lot of things that have been going on around here. So yeah, I can get behind with that. And today is Sunday. So my grand opening up began in 2000. I had what's called a shamanic dream journey. Hello. Hello. If you have a story at all about meeting a fairy in dreams or, in real life, a lot of us only really know about fairies from Disney. And yes, that's where I first heard about fairies. To me, it was in animation. It was not real. It was made up. Now, in a child's mind, of course, there's always the possibility. Children have a much more open mind to the possibility of a lot of things. But fast forward, in 2001, I believe, I began to learn that I was now a full-blown medium. I was having all kinds of paranormal experiences, seeing and hearing things. Things were coming to me. Things were happening. I was being contacted, or I was being given messages in one form or another, right? Information, downloads, either in dreams, or I'd be woken up to a piece of information from someone, disembodied being, giving me a word or making some sounds. I started purchasing a couple of books, and I believe my third or fourth book was by Silver Raven Wolf. Now, it was either not the first book, but I think maybe the second book, To Light a Sacred Flame, that I got to a chapter that talked about creating an assistant at your altar. And I'd already had an altar created little by little over a period of about 9 months to a year. I believe I'd also met my spirit guide, and of course I met my higher self in my shamanic dream journey, as well as the triple goddess, the 3 parts. So I was on the path of ancient goddess-based spirituality. I had no doubts, really, about being able to do things or see things or have things come to me. I was open. I was like a child. I was childlike in my mind in that way. And as I was following this exercise at my altar, I used a jewelry box and I decided to create an elemental. This elemental was going to go out like a servitor, gather information, and bring it back. And its little house was my jewelry box. And it was going to be information on how I could be more abundant and prosperous, because we were having a very, very hard time. Guys, it is hard when you're starting out and you don't necessarily make enough money to cut it up into 3 parts, right? 2 people now have a child. And, if someone is not really that good with money, and we had low wages here at that time anyway, it's very difficult. And it can cause a lot of mental anguish. And I thought our problems really were only money, but they weren't. So now we have this gigantic pine tree. I was very connected to nature. I had realized that after my shamanic dream journey. I was outside. I felt connected to everything. Sorry. And I began understanding my connection to nature even more. Somebody please put a fairy emoji. Please put a fairy or a heart. Do something. Put a fairy. I can't see anything coming up in the chat here. Happy Labor Day, by the way. I wasn't sure if I'd get anybody because it's a Labor Day weekend. It's, it's Sunday, so people are probably out enjoying nice weather somewhere. Hello. Please put a fairy emoji. You can guard your identity. Put some type of a blank face, but give me a fairy emoji. I don't know how many weeks went by, but I know it was around the middle of summer. And I just fully believe that the little elemental I made, it actually kind of looked like a dragonfly, except it had round wings. So that's what I decided I needed to come up with. And maybe 2 weeks later, I was driving down the street, going into the parking lot of Kmart. And I was facing the east, and I designated that it would come from the east to give me information. So I'm pulling into the parking lot, I'm facing east, and I stopped for a second. I don't know why. I have the story in a binder, but it's in the garage. All of a sudden, this 8-inch thing comes flying and grabs onto my antenna. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And I was in shock, guys. I was in shock. And I remember exclaiming, what is that? What is that? Look, do you see that? And I had one of my children with me. What is that? Look, look, look. Do you see that? Yeah. What is that? I don't know. It looks like Tinkerbell. And I mean, this was a little person, guys. This was a little person with fingers on her hands holding onto my antenna. Now, she looked like she had on a black mask, and then she had bug eyes and a tiny little mouth. Her legs were together, and her feet were just like the Tinkerbell that you see in, the Disney movie, like a ballerina with the 2 feet together, but no pom-poms. No pom-poms on the feet. But I mean, I was just in disbelief. What's happening? What's happening? What's going on? And it felt like she had stayed there for several minutes. Big wings. I have a full description in the story in my binder in the garage. It was probably only 30 seconds. And then she flew off, I think, back to the east in the way that she had come. Guys, I think the message was, get a good look. You're going to deliver this message, Sabrina. And maybe eventually this will help me get more, people coming to me for my oils and such. But get a good look, Sabrina, because we are real. This is real. This is real. This is not your imagination. The person in the car also sees it, is asking you what it is. I said, well, I thought it was a dragonfly, but it's too big. Doesn't it look like a little, it looks like a little person, doesn't it? Yeah. So I don't really remember what else was going on. I was completely enthralled. You know what I mean? So that's the message, guys. This is a 25-minute video. Nobody has come, unfortunately. I hope I do get some comments. I believe I've set it for comments. If I had people, you could see the comments from the live later, but you can make comments later. You can share your experiences, your thoughts, your feelings, your stories. Now, in that vein, I have made my very first mist. I would like you to please check out my Ko-fi account. The link is in the bio. It is kofi.com/casting cauldron, all one word. I created it a year ago. I filled it up with oils all summer. I also have some services to offer. And this is my first mist. And it is in a glass blue bottle. Now I was going to add plant medicine to my title, but I wasn't sure if I should do that. This is going to be my fairy mist, okay? It is an alcohol water based, and what I did was also boil bay leaves and mugwort. This is a very soft way to help you relax before you go to bed. If you'd like to speak to the fairy realm, ask the fairy realm to contact you in a way that is for your greatest and highest good, to help you on your path. So you would just spray it. It's a very fine mist. You can spray it on your sheets, on your pillow, around you, before you go to bed, and maybe light a candle, meditate a few minutes before you go to sleep. So I'm going to put this on my site tonight. I'm also going to make a short. And I think I'm just going to make an introductory offer for $10, the same way I have for my, I believe it's my Clarity oil, that's $10. All right. You need to understand. You need to understand that when I make my oils or my waters, whatever it is, including the consecrated pendants, okay, they're talismans, there is an essence of my energy that goes into it. It's just a very small amount. I can't help it. I vibrated a very high frequency, and what I've discovered is that my friend who's been using my psychic eye oil is getting more and more downloads through her intuition, and in fact is receiving better my thoughts on her. So, and it has the same type of ingredients really that are in this water mist. She said, Sabrina, I had this impression that you needed something and that I should give it to you. Now, I'm not saying this is going to make you give me things, but I do have a higher frequency so that when I make things with my intention to help you get in touch with the fairy realm, that there is a small percentage of my energy that is tethered to that can help facilitate that, guys. All right? Help facilitate your initiation in getting in touch with that realm one way or another. It could be when you're outside. There's other things that you can discover when you're outside that can indicate you are entering a fairy portal. I'll very quickly tell you. When I finally got out of the haunted house, which is I've talked about that. It was the house from hell. I got into a very peaceful apartment downtown by the river. And there I was sort of given a reward. My eyes had been already open to a lot of strange things, even through my camera, which had infrared. And I finally got the strength to just take my tax refund money and go look for another apartment. So we were on the top floor in the back, by the sidewalk, by the parking lot, overlooking the sidewalk and a million trees and the river that we have in this city. So we would go out and we would take a walk, and we would just look at all the things that were outside. In the winter, the rows of trees that were on either side of the sidewalk between that building's parking lot and my building's parking lot had overlapped. And so there was an arch. And it was absolutely beautiful in winter. There was snow all over it. It was a snowy arch. And I took a video of it. And when I walked through it and I got to the end, it was almost as though I had entered another dimension. It was like a portal, okay? And if you're already opened, you're going to be able to see what looks like an eye in a tree, or a shape in the ground, in the grass, or the dirt, or, I mean, any number of things. And one of the things I noticed was a tree that absolutely looked like a ballerina in a dancer's pose. And I knew it was nature spirits. I already knew that I was a shamanic witch, and I had been seeing all kinds of things that I didn't discount any longer because I knew that all my clairs were opened. So if you have a story, please try to share it. If you have a question, please ask me. Please go to my website and consider subscribing so that you can hit the all notifications bell, and you can even start a discussion apparently on this video where you can anonymously talk about fairies, the fairy realm. I don't know everything. I encountered an air fairy, okay? I'm closely connected to the element of air. And the next story I have to tell you will be about the sylphs. I have not encountered brownies, although I've heard stories of people who do. And maybe I'll save that for my next video, all right? So stay tuned. Think about joining my community. Please visit my website. And you have two ways to become a part of that community over there on my coffee account as well. For $7 a month, you will receive a DIY tutorial. I have my first one up already on how to work on the black moon. I have memberships. My first tier is silver. If you become a member for $10 a month, you will receive a video of me pulling down the energies from the portal, the Stargate portal, every month for your benefit. All right. Please leave comments and questions. Happy Labor Day. Check everything out. And I'll see you next week.